You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
You're listening to the Pelicans Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
For all things Pelicans. That's right, all things Pelicans you're now rocking with. The Pelican Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network. I'm Big Q, and I'd like to thank all of you fantastic people for joining us today on the Pelican Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network. Big round of applause to you guys for chiming in on podcast 348 of the Pelican Postgame Report. And some breaking news coming right on in as the Pelicans, days after the season conclude, the Pelicans make the ultimate decision to replace the general manager in terms of hire. They had a bevy of different people that they were looking at, including Danny Ferry, who was acting as the interim general manager right before Dale Demps. Well, after Dale Demps was fired. Of course, during the season, he was a consultant that Dale Demps brought in to help and assist him make decisions. And might I add, he did a pretty decent job with Dale Demps there. It's just, I think Demps just made too many key moves, the wrong moves. And I just think that he picked the wrong head coach in terms of having a balanced head coach, disciplined head coach. Gentry wasn't the man. He played 8-man lineups many times when he used Anthony Davis in the wrong capacity and ultimately pissed him off, in my assumption, and ultimately led to whatever we have here, which is you go from a second round playoff berth to whatever this trash filth, scum, trap, garbage that we have today. But anyway, bright news on the side of things is the Pelicans, breaking news, name Adrian Griffin. Now, Adrian Griffin as the new general manager of the Pelicans. Of course, obviously, the Pelicans have scrapped the VP search because at first they wanted to hire a vice president of basketball operations, then a general manager. They just scrapped it and decided to go with Adrian Griffin. Now, of course, Adrian Griffin is a guy that comes over from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, he's a guy that has some experience. He did win a championship as a general manager back in 2016 with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, LeBron James is there. But to be quite honest with you, I don't know. I could have been a general manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers and won a championship with LeBron that the way they were playing that year. Not to take nothing away from the man. But anyway, we're going to talk about that today as Griffin is hired. This is breaking news right off the press, fam. As Griffin is hired to be the new Pels, well, actually saying the Pels basketball. We had some conflicting reports. They're saying general manager. But as of ESPN is reporting is that he is agreed in principle to become the next president of basketball operations. That's what they're saying, basketball operations. So that is a position higher than what he had previously when he was just a general manager. So we had two conflicting reports, but now we get ESPN's report saying that they hired him as a basketball of operations. So president of basketball ops for the Pelicans, which means that's not a general manager position. So he could very well hire a GM as well. We'll get into that also on this episode of Pelican Postgame Report 348. Also, we'll recap a few games going toward the end of the season. We also have exit interviews from Gentry, Anthony Davis, Julius Randle, Jrue Holiday. We'll also talk about the Pelicans' playoff position. Try saying that 3 times in a row. We'll talk about the Pelicans' playoff position moving forward, as in the coming days, the Pelicans will know exactly where they sit in the spot to pick up a young, exciting player in this upcoming draft to start to rebuild as we move forward. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Our top story is, of course, Adrian Griffin, former general manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He won an NBA championship back in 2016 and reached the NBA Finals in 3 consecutive seasons with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Has been hired as they become the president. Now, of course, remember there was a VP. They scrapped that, I guess. He is to be the president of basketball operations. They have some people saying GM. Channel 6 said general manager. They got to get their mind right because the source is now coming from Adrian Wojnarowski, who's a pretty credible guy from ESPN. He says that the Pelicans have hired him to be the president of basketball operations for New Orleans, which means that's not a general manager, which means he could very well hire a general manager as well to come in and be. Now, Danny Ferry, who was the acting general manager, pulled out of the Pelicans GM process Friday. And Ferry told Wojnarowski from ESPN, quote, "I'll let the Pelicans know throughout the process that for a few reasons, the timing wasn't right for my family to move full-time to New Orleans," Ferry said. Quote, "It's a great job and deserves a full-time focus. I have a great experience with the Pelicans, and I am happy to stay on to help them continue with the transition and consult the next head of basketball operations if so desired." So he's already pushing for a consultant job. Remember, he was a special consultant or assistant to Dale Demps when he came on as well, which is a position that he had, just assistant to general manager. Now, like I said, he's won a championship as a general manager. He did beat out a few other guys for the position. A lot of people knew Griffin would be the top spot. Now, of course, a lot of people thought Griffin would be the general manager. So this is kind of a different. ESPN's reporting president of basketball operations. That's a different position from the GM position. Now, going ahead, this is a full 30-minute show. So we're going to be playing a lot of interviews coming up from Anthony Davis, his thoughts coming out, and Jrue Holiday, Julius Randle. Of course, this team has a new president of basketball operations. Obviously, he's going to bring in a general manager of his picking. The general manager and the basketball op man will come together and decide on who the coach will be. And we want to talk about who the coach should be for the Pelicans. We'll talk about that after we finish breaking down a few games. Now, let's go right into some of the games. Now, the Pelicans, last few games we covered were, of course, the Pelicans. The last 4 contests, Pelicans finished the season 1-3, losing to the Hornets 115-109. The Suns 133-126. The Kings had a scrappy victory against the Kings out in Sacramento, which was pretty good to see them get there. And then, of course, this game they had against the Golden State Warriors, which we knew they weren't going to win the game. But the Pelicans played pretty decently in the Hornets matchup. Of course, watching that game, they just didn't close the game properly. The Suns game, they should have beat them. But a lot of these games, the Pelicans were shorthanded. They were just basically set Anthony Davis and a few of these guys down going toward the end of the year. Jrue Holiday was, of course, put on the shelf. Etuan Moore was put on the shelf. So you're basically playing a lot of these young players like Christian Wood and the likes, Kenrich Williams, and the rest of these guys. And, you know, they're just basically putting on a performance to see if they can earn a job going into the next season with the new general manager, with the new Pelican president of basketball operations. And a few of these guys should stick on. Jahlil Okafor is still under contract. He has a team option. He should stick around. Sheik Diallo, I don't know. I like Shaq, but I don't think Shaq will be around here. It's just, they need size. Christian Wood, to me, is a better prospect. He's big. He's physical. I love his aggression. Shaq has a lot of stuff going for him. He's a little undersized position. And for a forward that can't shoot the three, that really don't have that range, it's kind of hard to differentiate too. But anyway, it's Pelicans lose 115-109 to the Hornets. Suns 133-126. The Kings 133-129. And of course, the matchup with the Golden State Warriors was the one that I was interested in recapping, because basically, all it is the Pelicans in this matchup, they kind of played them just as well. They played Golden State well the first half. Of course, Golden State, Curry got hurt in this matchup, had to exit. But they didn't need too much to beat the Pelicans. It was basically almost a sold-out crowd, 99% capacity in the Smoothie King Center to watch the defending world champions as Big Bad Boogie Cousins returns to the Smoothie King Center for the season finale, and he was able to put on a pretty decent show against the Pelicans. The Pelicans finished the game shooting about 44% from the field versus 48% by the Golden State Warriors. They were 9 of 33 from downtown. That's horrible, 27%. They only got to the line. They got to the line about 10 times versus the Golden State Warriors got to the line 21 times. But when you're a bad team and you stink, the referee is going to give it to the better team any day. Rebound 63 to 49 for the Warriors. Assist 29 to 25 for the Pelicans. And, of course, turnovers. Pelicans didn't turn the ball on and turned it over 10 times and gave up 8 points off it, but it just really didn't matter. They just was just outdone in this game. They did win in the paint 56-42, but outside that, the Pelicans just kind of fell off when it comes terms of matching up against this team. I mean, they just died in the second half. But let's see what Coach L. Gentry had to say about his thoughts in that Golden State Warriors loss. Here's Coach Gentry.
Coach, how did your team handle the last game of the season?
Well, I thought we played hard. We competed the way we wanted to. I thought we played unselfishly. Played a lot of guys out of position, obviously. Alfred tweaked his ankle a little bit, so obviously I wasn't going to put him back in the game in that situation. And I thought we competed till the end. So that's what we asked them to do, and that's what they did.
Coach, your thoughts on the way that Christian Wood played tonight?
I thought he did a good job. You can see he's got a little bit of explosiveness around the basket. Got to get himself stronger, but, just looking at him and the way he played and the way he can run the floor, thought he did a really, really good job. I thought Ian played well, and then Jahlil, I thought, did a great job. You can see that we can throw the ball inside to him, and he can go get baskets. Obviously, it was tough for us to have any kind of flow because we just had guys playing out of position and probably guys playing too many minutes because we had such a short bench.
Coach, did you have...
That's Coach Al Gentry talking about the thoughts on the game. Now, of course, Christian Wood just continued to play really well. 26 points for Christian Wood in this one. He finished with 12 rebounds inside of 34 minutes of action. Jahlil Okafor in 38 minutes produced 30 points and 7 rebounds, which is, I was saying, Jahlil Okafor fits with, kind of going back. And, of course, you could say, going back, looking at the past is 2020 or 50-50 in hindsight, whatever. But the reality of the situation is that Jahlil Okafor is the only other 7-footer the Pelicans had at the time. And you bring this guy in, Christian Wood, which was Danny Ferry's doing, bringing this kid in here. And this man has been tremendous. He's been a big 6'11", 215, 220, kind of undersized, weight size, but he moves really well, shot blocking, rebounding, and I love the nastiness that he displays. Now, Okafor is a big who has finesse around the board, but Okafor to me is not known as a power center. You know what I'm saying? More of a finesse center who has a jump shot, can kind of spin and ballet his way to the basket, got a bevy of moves. But as far as power and aggression, Christian Wood is the type of big I would like on my team. He's a 6'11", almost 7-foot guy that can dunk, shot, block, rebound. And I've been saying it for a long time that the Pelicans need at least 4 of these size guys, a 6'11", 7-foot guys. You need at least 4 of those guys on your team. Look at teams like Golden State. These guys are long. They got long guys, 7-footers, 6'11", 6'10" guys. You need size like that if you're going to compete in the NBA. But anyway, Ian Clark finished his career with the Pelicans. I don't think they're going to bring him back. I wouldn't be mad if they did, but he finished with 20 points in 38 minutes of action, extended minutes. Of course, Elfrid Payton in 25 minutes finished with 3 points, 1 of 4 shoot from the field, 7 assists, 6 rebounds in 25 minutes. Sheik Diallo finished with 11 points and 6 rebounds on the night. Now, Elfrid Payton, man, I keep telling y'all, Elfrid Payton, toxic-turvy, up and down. Elfrid Payton, I would love to have him back as a backup point guard. I don't want Elfrid Payton running my team, man. I'm sorry. I mean, he's just not reliable with the basketball. He doesn't shoot a high probability at the three-point line, and he's terrible shooting free throws. I mean, no disrespect. He's a hometown kid, but backup, man. We can do better than that. But anyway, we're about to hit our break. When we come back, Pelican Postgame Report. We got interviews. We're going to talk more about Adrian Griffin's hire as the president of the Pelican And also, man, we're just going to talk about the future of Alvin Gentry as well. We're going to talk about all that on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Pelican Postgame Report. Stick with us.
Get straight sports talk from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Embrace Pet Insurance is more than just pet insurance. Embrace Pet Insurance promises to provide genuine support and certainty when your pet needs it the most. With personalized accident and illness policies, compassionate customer care, 24/7 access to veterinary professionals, flexible wellness plans, timely claims processing, and online customer portals, their values is what makes them Embrace. So, when selecting a pet insurance company as a partner in your pet's care, you deserve a company that has your pet's best interests at heart. Get top-rated and reviewed coverage for your pet today. Up to 90% back on bills at any vet, total protection, pet insurance and wellness, and dependable claims payments. Get the top-rated and reviewed coverage for your pet today. Go to embracepetiinsurance.com. That's embracepetiinsurance.com. Check the link in the description section below.
Get all the latest news and updates from your New Orleans Pelicans at the Pelicans Eye View, the new and official Pelicans Daily Journal, covering everything Pelican. Attention, everyone. Get breakdown on games, free agent signings, and potential moves. Unbiased opinions and straight up facts with statistical analysis from G Valley. Go to www.thesportsdaily.com/Pelicans-I-View.
Are you a boxing fan? Check out Ring Kings Boxing only on the PRO Media Network.
Do you need a domain name? How about a host for your website that can work with WordPress? Try Namecheap.com. They make registering, hosting, and managing domain names for yourself or others easy and affordable because the internet needs people. Namecheap is an ICANN accredited domain register and technology company founded in 2000. It's one of the fastest growing American companies according to the 2018 Inc. 5000, celebrating nearly 2 decades of providing unparalleled levels of service, security, and support. Namecheap has been steadfast in customer satisfaction with over 10 million domains under management. Namecheap is among the top domain registers and web providers in the world. They offer a full selection of popular and unique domains along with fully featured hosting packages, SSL security certificates, WhoisGuard privacy protections, and more, all at the lowest prices in the industry. So if you need a domain name or hosting or anything else, think Namecheap.com. That's right, Namecheap.com. Check the description section below for link.
Sports fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear. From all the leagues, teams, and players you love, unique one-of-a-kind designs exclusively by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars shipped directly to your home. Join Fanatics Rewards for free to earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and for a limited time, get 20% off all orders. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
There's a lot of reasons to be a fan, but only NBAStore.com has all the gear.
Are you a Pelicans fan? Check out the Pelican Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network.
You're listening to the Pelicans Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
For all things Pelicans, you're now listening to the Pelican Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network. Recapping, man, a hot story of the day for the Pelicans are concerned of David Griffin. I don't know what I keep saying, Adrian Griffin. Former basketball player for the Dallas Mavericks. David Griffin has been he's agreed to be the Pelicans' new executive VP. Now it's changed again. Now this is another one that just came out 6 minutes ago, a few minutes ago after the break actually. Is Agent Wojnarowski, I guess as they're getting the facts, they're clarifying, as I reported, he was the basketball operations VP. That is what he's being hired as, which is the top spot that they were trying to hire Joe Dumars about several years ago. If you remember, Joe Dumars interviewed with Tom Benson and other people to become, they were going to create the VP position for Joe Dumars. Obviously something didn't work out. I think it was the money, because Joe Dumars is definitely a more qualified candidate than David Griffin. Excuse me for calling him Adrian. But David Griffin is the guy. He interviewed with the position with several other candidates, and obviously Mrs. Benson and a few of the other executives said, administrators like David Griffin. Now, he's won a championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers back in 2016. He's accomplished. He's 46 years of age. And the official wording on it, of course, this is updated again as of a few minutes ago. I got another report on a break, is that he's agreed to become the executive vice president, VP of basketball operations for the Pelicans. Now, that's what's said. Now, the mandate for him is he comes into this franchise and he has to trade Anthony Davis. But, of course, there is some rigmarole about, we still have Anthony Davis for another year. Of course, the Pelicans have an opportunity to trade him to get a stockpile so they can go at picks. They can add a new star. And it's a lot to work. Of course, Jrue Holiday is listed as the top star or the face of the franchise. A lot of people love Jrue Holiday in that role. I'm not so sure, though. A lot of people there aren't saying this, but I'm not too sure about it. And I'm not too sure about Jrue Holiday's status on this team as well, because if you can trade Anthony Davis, who wants out, you can trade Jrue Holiday. You might say, well, Q, that's crazy. They ain't going to give them both up. Listen, there's new general manager, new VP. The VP is not the general manager. So he's going to hire a general manager. And this general manager is going to hire a coach. And these guys are going to bring their own staff, their own players in here. And Jrue Holiday might not fit in the system. He makes 20-something million a year. They might want a clean slate to get young talent and start building through the draft, as opposed to the expensive route that Dale Demps was leading them. Now, let's give you some more about David Griffin. He left his job in Cleveland back in 2017. He was fired, of course, but he did win a title back in 2016 with LeBron James. He spent 17 years with the Phoenix Suns in their front office. And, of course, Danny Ferry had been listed as the interim GM following the dismiss of Demps. But he told Ferry that he couldn't take on the GM role full time because his family wasn't ready to move to New Orleans. But he was interested in a consultant job. Now, whether or not they keep him on as a consultant, it would be valuable, because Danny Ferry is an excellent basketball mind. He's really good at building teams. And, of course, these guys have a relationship because they both worked in the Cleveland organization. So they have something of a commonality there. Now, he's 46 and he's expected to come in and upgrade the staff resources committed to the franchise. Of course, Mrs. Benson has opened up the pocketbooks and said she has a desire to further invest into the Pelicans, and she wants the Pelicans to win a championship. Now, she did say that. So we'll see exactly how and what this will be. Now, the Pelicans, as far as Gentry is concerned, he did work with Griffin back in Phoenix, and he interviewed Griffin for the Cavaliers head coaching job that eventually went to David Blatt. Now, this is when Elvin Gentry was out of work, and he went on and tried to get the Cleveland job before Blatt was there. Now, Blatt wasn't a bad coach; he just wouldn't bend for LeBron's bull crap, and LeBron ultimately got Tyronn Lue in there. But Gentry is a favorite of the organization, and according to reports, he's expected to return regardless of the front office situation. Now, that would be a terrible mistake on my part. So let's get right into that Elvin Gentry situation. I got an interview I want to play by Elvin Gentry. Thoughts on Elvin Gentry. Then after we hear some of his interview, then I give my thoughts on him. Here's Coach Gentry end of season interview.
Where did that commitment to the defensive end just break off this year?
I don't think it broke off. I'm not real sure. We try to some different things, but don't have the answer to that. I wish I did have the answer to that because I thought we were committed. We spent a lot of time in practice on it. I think the thing that hurt us most is the dribble penetration, and I think if you can't control dribble penetration, then it breaks down. It starts to break down your entire defense, and we just didn't do a very good job of being able to get into the ball and guard the ball. So obviously when that doesn't happen, you put your big guys in harm's way. You you're rotating, and in this league now, when you're in rotation, teams are really good, and they're going to find open guys. And I think that was one of the reasons we struggled with the three-point shooting thing, because we found ourselves in rotation way too much.
The players around the league recently voted Jrue as the most underrated guy in the league. Obviously, if the AD deal happens this summer, he'll have a lot of responsibility on his shoulders in this franchise. What do you think he can kind of show next year if he can be the face of this franchise?
Oh, I think he's already proven that. I don't think he has anything else to prove, really. I mean, I think as a two-way player, like I said, maybe I'm a little biased, but I think he's as good as any two-way player in the league at defending his position and then being able to score the basketball for us. And, I'd like to see him get to the foul line more, and I don't think he really has anything to do with that. I mean, I think he takes the ball to the basket, and I think he should be on the line more, really.
As Coach Gentry's thoughts on a few topics there, especially saying that Jrue Holiday is the best two-way player in the game. And I got love for Jrue Holiday. I love how he played defense. I love when he's healthy. He plays healthy. He's elevated his game. He signed that monster deal. He got a lot of criticism. But remember, prior to the last 2 seasons, Jrue Holiday was considered relatively a bust for the amount of what he was given. He was hurt all the time, and the deal was looking pretty bad. So, I'm not just a person that thinks about this year or in the next year. I go back and I reference, what I've seen. That's the most complete and better view that you can get, because people get caught and trapped in the moment, which is fine. But I span back a little further. The last couple of years, Jrue Holiday has really been playing up to par of where we know he could play, because obviously he's been healthy. Now, as far as the defensive question that the reporter asked Elvin Gentry, to me is he said, what he was saying about the dribble penetration. Elvin Gentry sucks as a defensive coach. Bottom line. Let's get that understood. He's a good offensive mind. That's why I don't think he's a good head coach. Head coach means you got to be able to know how to score points and stop the other team. Or if you don't know, hire somebody on your staff that was capable. He held on to too many incompetent defensive staff members. Danny Erdman should have been fired, and he should have brought in somebody that could steer the ship. You don't just keep marching these same dead-ass principles out there and expecting for a change. And that kind of asinine thinking is why I don't like Elvin Gentry. I never liked Elvin Gentry. You don't hire a head coach with a losing record and that is as old as Elvin Gentry, where you have all these young head coaches that can move this team a little bit better than Elvin Gentry could. I think he's a decent offensive-minded coach, but as far as a balanced coach, he sucks. I mean, we know this. Look at the statistics, and the defense was laughable on many nights. So even Mark Jackson, when he was commentating these games, like, what kind of defense are we running? What are we looking here? I mean, it was just absolutely it was a train wreck out there. Anyway, let's listen to what Anthony Davis, who was the key piece, and with the Pelicans, about what he thought about his season and going forward. Here's AD's interview.
Seeing what happens, seeing who the Pelicans make the GM and having a conversation with that person and about the future. My time here has always been great. Love playing here. It's something that I would definitely hold in my heart forever. But the next step is, basically waiting on the Pelicans for that GM job.
Do you maybe not regretting the decisions you've made, but do you think that maybe some of the business side of this could have been handled differently for all sides?
I think in everything you do is always something to learn. I haven't really sat back and thought about any of that yet. The season just ended, but it's something that I'll go back and look at it and reflect on, and if it has, then I'll say to myself and the people around me and see if something happens again, what we could do better, and go from there.
Do you feel like it's a virtual certainty that an off-season trade would take place, or have you entertained the thought that if they don't get the deal they want, it could go into the deadline in February? Or?
It's hard to say that when they're looking for a GM. Not sure what the new GM will is thinking or what they plan to do. But as soon as when I say the Pelicans appoint a GM, then those questions will definitely be asked.
Anthony, would you be okay if you started the year here next year?
No, so I'm under contract still. I have a year left. I mean, obviously, it's a possibility that it could happen. Like I said, I don't have no ill will towards anybody. I know that it's still a possibility that next year I could be here as well. I mean, can't be mad if I'm here next year.
Is it?
Sandy Davis can't be mad if I'm here next year because he's still under contract, from what I understand. I mean, AD is kind of teeter and totter different ways. Now, this is a good and bad thing, and I'll preface it by saying this. The whole situation, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers, which was my favorite team growing up. I was a Magic Johnson guy, loved watching Magic Johnson. When I grew up, we used to have the towel in the back pocket like Magic, making passes like Magic. I like Dominique Wilkins and MJ, but Magic Johnson was the man, with the Lakers. Now, I say that to say this. Luke Walton was fired today by the Lakers. Magic Johnson resigned 3 days ago, a couple days back. They're in turmoil out there. LeBron James is taking a lot of heat. So they're going to have a new coach, a new VP, I think Magic was, of the basketball operations. Rob Pelinka, who's the general manager, doesn't know diddly squat about being a general manager. He's just a player agent. So you have total anarchy right now in the Los Angeles Lakers organization. Do Anthony Davis really wants to go there right now? I mean, this is actually really working, and you can thank the Pelicans for at least one thing, busting all that foolishness up they were trying to manipulate and put together. Not mad at you for trying. It just didn't work. Now, with all that happening, and perhaps, because we all know he wanted to go out there and play with LeBron, but under these circumstances, it could be a second guess. Like, really, do I really want to go out there and get in the middle of all that trash, all that garbage, all that mess out there? It could work for the Pelicans here. Now, like I said, David Griffin, sorry about the Adrian thing, David Griffin is actually a VP of basketball operations, not the general manager. So we're going to be looking at them hiring a general manager in the coming days because they want to have everything together by the time the draft comes into place and they're looking at a coach. Now, we had read in the report from Adrian Wojnarowski is that regardless of whoever the general manager and the VP is going to be, the understanding is to keep Alvin Gentry on. I don't know how true that is. Wojnarowski put it out there. But if you're the general manager and you have a new VP and a new GM, they're going to want their own head coach. They're going to want their own head coach. And I don't want Al Gentry's ass up there. I don't want him because he don't know what he's doing in terms of his defensive principles, his teams and his way of doing things. He just doesn't have the discipline to hold the team together consistently on a nightly basis. They could score a lot, but they give up too many points. And he's not willing to adjust to change his philosophy. With that being said, you'll get a lot of people out there. And I don't care if they like him or not. If you like him, put him in a freaking consultant role. Sit him on the side. But don't let him get in the way of the progress of the team. This is a new field, new people coming in, new people across the board. Maybe that'll give new light to Anthony Davis, changing his mind to stay. The Pelicans will more than likely have a higher draft choice. Now, we'll talk about the draft choice in a little later. Let's finish up getting to the rest of these interviews. Now, a lot of things can happen with the Pelicans here. A lot of different things can happen in terms of Anthony Davis getting traded for picks. Jrue Holiday could get traded as well, and they could just start out with a total clean slate all over. You never know what can happen in basketball. I don't care what the general managers and the executives say because they tell mistruths all the time. Look at the clown in the GM of the New York Giants who said, we're not signing OBJ just to trade him, and then he ends up trading him a week, a little bit while later. So, I mean, you can't trust what these people saying because they're going to do what the best, they can change their mind at any given time. But anyway, let's listen to who I believe were one of the strongest, literally physically, and strongest and best players who should, I think this man earned a contract, should be in a Pelican uniform next year. Julius Randle. Let's hear what he thought, at the end of his season in the reviews. Here's Julius.
You mentioned, ways that you can improve this summer. What do you think that you showed this year as far as just the jump that you made as a player? People talk about you as, most improved player candidate, stuff like that.
It just shows, opportunity and preparation. Just years of preparation and hard work, and finally coming here and getting my opportunity, I was able to make a jump. So, I expect that next year as well out of myself and
know that'll happen. So my
job
is just to prepare.
I'm sorry. Is it bittersweet in some ways that you had the most personal success you've had as a player, but the season didn't go as you anticipated when you arrived here?
Yeah, it is disappointing to me personally, just because I pride myself on winning, and hopefully, I can do more of that next year, and I'll find ways that I can help the team win more. So, I reflect on that as well.
Julius, not that a lot of this is because of you, but you've been around a lot of craziness since you came into the league with the Lakers organization and changes, and then this year with Anthony. At some point, I mean, it's kind of in a moment of levity, do you think it'll be normal for me in a situation at some point somewhere?
It's the NBA, man. You never know what can happen. So, it's all fun and entertainment, and at the end of the day, whatever happens, happens. But you just try to focus on what you can control. And like I said, that's just me preparing myself to be the best player I can be to help my team win games. And everything else is outside my reach. Can't worry about it.
That's Julius Randle, strong man game. Julius Randle, bully ball. Julius Randle had his best season. I would say, he really showed out for the Pelicans this year. The man earned a contract. He came with a cheap deal, $8 million, and they got their money's worth with Julius Randle. They really did. Really like how he did it, but Julius is facing, he has a player option. He had his best year. I don't think you come back at $8 million a year if you're Julius Randle. Why should you? Go out there and test your value. And he is absolutely stupendous. I mean, he played really well. I love Julius Randle's game, the bully ball game, similar to Zach Randolph. I like that, man, because a lot of these guys are stretch floors. They soft in the middle. Julius Randle beats him up, and I really respect and love how Julius Randle's game translated with the Pelicans. And I think he earned, if any Pelican earned a decent contract, a 3 or 4 year deal, maybe 10 or 12 million, it's Julius Randle, man. He's going to give you every bit of that. So that's Julius Randle's thoughts on the game, on his season. Moving ahead. Now let's go into another, and the face of the franchise, as we call them right now, until a trade happens. Until a trade happens to get another player here, and Jason Tatum, where we hearing the thoughts of as Boston fell through the floor as well. So the Pelicans really, if you think about it, the Pelicans did really two things really well. They really destroyed two really iconic franchises without even firing a single shot. I mean, they literally took apart the Los Angeles Lakers, who were trying to peel off a deal, and just destroyed their season and nuke what they had out there. Like Magic Johnson coming in with high hopes. He quits. They fire Luke Walton, which I knew they eventually would do because LeBron don't like him. And then if LeBron misses the playoffs and all of this stuff come on top of him. So, he destroyed the Lakers, and then the Boston Celtics, who really fell through the floor too. They walking into the playoffs as a 4th seed. Boston, who was figured, to be the top seed going into when the season started. And that was because a lot of that was tied to the Pelicans and Kyrie Irving saying that he was going to sign, and Danny Ainge didn't, want to commit to that and all this kind of stuff. And look what happened to both those iconic franchises because of, they're trying to deal with a deal to pull off with Anthony Davis. Very interesting, man, when you take a look at it. But let's listen to Julius Randle's, not Julius, but Jrue Holiday's thoughts on the season. Here's Jrue.
I played most of this season, so I'm grateful for that. But honestly, man, I had fun playing with my teammates. We battled. I felt like we battled every night. Maybe there's a couple games where, matter of fact, there's 2 Orlando games that we didn't really come to show. But other than that, I think we battled every night.
Jrue, how excited are you about the future?
Really excited. I think some of the younger guys that we have are kind of got a chance toward the end of the year to kind of showcase their talent and play well and show what they can do. Obviously, with opportunities in this offseason to re-sign guys or pick up new guys, to see what happens with the future with upper management. Just everything's kind of up in the air, but just being positive, I feel like it's the best way to go.
You talked about stuff you've dealt with in the past, but how much is life going to change for you if and when Anthony is finally dealt?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. It's been 6 years. It's been 6 years that I've got to play with Anthony, and right now I know nothing else. So hopefully I see him in the Pelicans jersey next year.
Jrue, the odds are you're going to become the face of this franchise. Are you excited by that? Looking forward to it?
I'm excited to be here at the end of the day. Whatever that title may be. If I'm here, I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing, which is trying to win every game, leave it all on the court, and play as hard as I can. Be as transparent with my teammates and the coaches and upper management as possible, and try to win.
One thing.
That's Jrue Holiday, man, giving you the absolute truth, and I just love that interview because Jrue Holiday is just an honest guy, man. He's not scripted. He's coming to that, and he's telling you what's on his heart and what he intends to do. And like I said, prior to these last 2 years, Jrue Holiday was looking relatively like a bust. He had a lot of injuries. That wasn't his fault, but it's just what it is. We look at production in the NBA, and if you can't get out on the court and produce, then you consider the bust by many standards because you're still not giving none of that money back, what the Pelicans gave up to get him. But Jrue Holiday for the last couple of years have really been outstanding, man. I've really not, because if you go back and listen to the old shows, I criticized them mightily prior to these 2 years because I knew what he was capable of. I remember Jrue Holiday at UCLA. I remember Jrue Holiday with the Philadelphia 76ers when he won Rookie of the Year. I knew what he was capable of. I knew what he could do. None of this is a secret. And my criticism of him, because I knew he could be better than that. But when he stepped up and started playing to the level where I knew he was capable of, I was like, that's what I'm talking about, Jrue. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of people say he's the best two-way defender in the league. I would not say that. I would say it because I'm a Pelican fan. But if I'm a realist and I'm an NBA fan, I got to give it to Paul George. And Paul George is better than Jrue Holiday in that capacity. Just going to be honest with you. But that's not a bad thing to be behind Paul George, who is a perennial all-star and who's a guy who's damn good. Anybody would take Paul George on their team. But anyway, that's the interviews for the Pelicans. Let's go into some more information that I want to give you about the draft. Now, the Pelicans know their chances hitting the NBA lottery on the 14th. Now, the NBA regular season wound to a close on Wednesday night, and the Pelicans found themselves tied in the standings with the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, with a 33-49 record. Now, the Mavericks lost to the Spurs on Wednesday, while the Grizzlies beat the Warriors 132-117. Now, the three Southwest Division teams are all finished tied with the 7th worst record in the league behind the Knicks, the Suns, the Cavs, and the Bulls, the Hawks, and the Wizards. Now, all three teams have 26.3% chance of landing a top 4 pick and 6% chance of landing the number 1 overall pick. Now, on this Friday, the NBA will have a drawing to break the tie of the team to see in which order the teams will draft if the teams do not win the lottery. Now, if Memphis lands outside the top 8, the team conveys the pick to Boston. Dallas is a top 5 protected pick. It heads to Atlanta, and the last 4 of the lotteries entered with the league's worst record, which belongs to the Knicks. However, the NBA changed the system this season. Instead of the team with the worst record having 25% chance of winning the spot, the team now only has a 14% chance, as do the teams who finished with the 2nd and 3rd records. Since 2005, they only had 5 teams that landed the top 5 pick with less than 6% chances, like the Pelicans currently have. The Nets did it back in 2000 when they got Kenyon Martin. The Trailblazers got it in 07 with Greg Oden. The Bulls got it in 08 with Derrick Rose, and the Cavs got it via the Clippers back in 2011 when they got Kyrie Irving, and then the Cavs did it again with Wiggins. So the Cavs been kind of lucky, if you ask me, in landing some of these picks. Now, will any of this stuff pan out the way we see fit for the Pelicans to land a top 4 pick? The chances are not so much. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's all a matter of chance, isn't it? I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. And man, it's so much the Pelicans have to do between now and then, to be quite honest with you. It really is. It's a lot the Pelicans have to do. Now, they're off to a great start. They hired David Griffin to be the VP of basketball operations for the Pelicans. But he's got to hire a GM. I know he's not going to act as a GM. The VP spot is the top guy in the organization. He will hire a general manager. A general manager would then make the decision on whether or not to keep Elvin Gentry's old tied butt. I say no, get him out of here. A lot of people agree with me. I want a fresh start, however that means. And then if so many variables at place as far as the draft is concerned, Anthony Davis, it's a lot going on with the Pelicans, but it's good to see this hire. It's good to see that. But anyway, that'll do it for the Pelican Postgame Report. If you enjoyed the show, please hit the thumbs up, notification bell for more content. Also, you can go to our description section, support our sponsors, sign up for our social media, and you can even donate to help the podcast move forward. Also, you can join us this upcoming Saturday as we'll have a live show for the Pelican Postgame Report where everybody can tune in and get a 2 cents on the Pelicans decisions anyway. But anyway, that'll do it for the show. Thank you for joining us today on the Pelican Postgame Report. Peace.
Are you a Pelicans fan? Check out the Pelican Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network.
The Kleins family has been getting people to go nuts for old nuts since 1995. As legends have it, a number of the Kleins friends who heard the idea said you can go nuts trying to name a store like that. In the excitement, the Kleins thought their friends said old nuts instead of go nuts and proceeded to throw caution to the wind. Old Nuts has over 2,000 items, bulk and wholesale prices of a whole lot of your favorite fruits, nuts, and confections, a selection of gift baskets for any budget, any occasion, and provides one of the best and impressively rated shopping experiences on the web. Fact is, between their selection, service, speed, or their online presence and the virtual mirror retail experience, they have developed an enviable client base that's comprised of personal and professional customers who count on their remarkable range of gift baskets. Think of gift basket, think about Old Nuts. Check them out, oldnuts.com. Check the link in the description section below. Tea is your escape. It's your opportunity to create a moment for stillness, for reflection, for yourself. It's your connection to a world of senses, flavors both exotic and familiar, energizing and relaxing. It's your retreat from an increasingly turbulent world. It's the perfect paradox of simplicity and complexity. Teabox.com connects tea to people, uniting the richest flavors of the finest teas with the curious, the cultivated, and the adventurous all over the world. The freshest tea you've ever tasted, from crop to cup. There's simply no simpler way to experience the wonderful complexity of tea. Teabox, packing up the freshness. Tea thrives on freshness, and so do they. Teabox temperature and humidity control facility ensure that tea is maintained. The teas themselves go into oblique bags with aluminum layers that protect them from excess moisture and light. With Teabox, shopping for fresh, loose leaf tea is easy because you make an informed purchase. You know exactly where your tea is coming from. So for the freshest teas in the world, check out Teabox.com. That's right, Teabox.com. Check the link in the description section below.
Are you a boxing fan? Check out Ring Kings Boxing only on the PRO Media Network.
Go to newfrog.com for all of your electronic gadget needs. Fast becoming #1 online seller of cell phone and accessories, consumer electronics, automobiles and motorcycles, home and garden items, 5D diamond painting crafts, electrical and tool supplies, computer and networking supplies, lights and lighting supplies, sports and travel items, toys and hobby supplies, apparel and accessory, mother and kid items, health and beauty items, and much, much more. Newfrog.com has up to 70% off on some products. And you can check out their weekly promotions for all the best deals. Remember, when thinking online electronics and gadgets, think New Frog. Newfrog.com. Check the link in the description section below.
In today's world, children are bombarded with negativity on television, online, and at school. Our kids need to have a positive outlook on life and the world around them. I want to share with you a valuable resource you can use to bring positivity into your child's life. It's the new book, 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad, G.J. Barabino. This is a simple guide loaded with wonderful and inspirational affirmations designed to uplift young people's spirits. This positive and powerful children affirmational is chock full and loaded with wonderful inspirational sayings that will lift your child's self-image to whole new levels through the awesome power of spoken word. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad, G.J. Barabino. Available on Amazon. Order a copy for yourself, your child's teachers, or anyone you know with children. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image. Order your copy today.